I don't think they did their party any good with
Yep.
this relentless quote unquote resisting. I mean, I guess it's. I have the feeling what they're doing is they're appealing to this very loud, very radical part of their party, which they see as their base, and they're locked in this echo chamber, and they don't realize that 80% of the rest of the country doesn't really agree with them. I did see an article about apparently some people are having some sort of trauma over the fact that the United States won the hockey game for the Olympics. And they were saying it's perfectly normal to feel, cringe and horrified and disgusted by America winning and all, especially if you realize how bad America is. And it's like, what? I mean, who's teaching people to hate the country they live in? And it's always like, all right, well, what country are you from then? You're going to burn your credit cards and passport and your license. I mean, a country's like a lifeboat. I mean, you don't start kicking holes in your own lifeboat just because somebody else's lifeboat isn't as good as yours. And you don't let every other single person swimming around on the lifeboat. When the Titanic went down, that they were saying, go back and rescue them. It's like, we will all die then. If you row the boat back and have so.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we are seeing the same sort of phenomenon in Britain as well. I don't know, I would argue maybe much more than in Britain, or much more evident in Britain.
Well, your lifeboat was so much bigger with the empire,
I mean, at the moment,
and even the Commonwealth after that for a while was kind of a ersatz empire, and that didn't, I mean, they're basically independent countries now. Although, as I always tell my friends from New Zealand when they talk about it being an independent country, I said, the king is on your money. You've got a Union Jack on your flag, okay? The only countries that ever really kicked out the empire were India, Rhodesia, the United States. I think that's about it. Oh, well, Scotland did a good job of kicking England out at one time, but I don't think that counts. So, but all the other countries are like Canada. You still got the English king on your money, so I don't think you're that far.
We're still part of the British Empire.
And even in India, that's a bit of a sticking point at the moment. Yeah.
But you mentioned so the hockey thing, right? So the U.S. won against Canada, right? You know that. And Canada got the silver, and I'm surprised by his statement. He usually makes fun of Canada. He usually belittles Canada, right? Yeah. But in this case, he's like, "Oh, congratulations to you guys! You beat a great team. Canada is a tremendous team. So it's but we're better, kind of thing. But he didn't put down Canada. So
well, you don't want to at that point. I mean, aside from the fact that everything Trump says is for effect. I mean, he's basically memeing all of his statements, but also. You don't want to lose. I mean, you don't want to say, "Hey, we won, but that Canadian team was really crappy." Blind Girl Scouts could have won. You don't want to win against a weak opponent. You want to say we battled the mighty Canadians and we overcame even Canada, which, to be fair, I've always regarded as the top hockey country.
Yeah, well, I mean, we invented hockey.
Yeah,
Canada invented hockey. And we beat them.
I think, I mean, if you look up Canada in the dictionary, there's a picture of a hockey puck. It's so no, that was quite remarkable, and and I'd like to remove athletics from the political process. Unfortunately, it was unavoidable in this case.
That was sad. That was actually pretty sad.
I feel somehow he purposely set up traps for the Democrats.
When he said, I did see the thing about like anyone here that thinks the U.S. government should serve Americans before illegal aliens, please stand up. Not a single Democrat stands up. That's awful.
Stand up if you agree that the purpose of the U.S. government is to protect U.S. citizens first before illegal.
That's why it's the U.S.
aliens.
government. So that's because we're paying the taxes on it, we're voting for it. It's our government supposedly.
That's one, and then the other, he brought in a whole bunch of victims of illegal immigrants or immigrants.
Oh yeah.
That little girl that got totally slaughtered on the train, and then and some veterans that got totally crippled from some event of some sort.
Well, let me kind of go in on that about the little girl who got stabbed on the train. Okay, now just so you know, this has become.
Well, she wasn't a little girl for one thing. She was a grown woman.
She was a grown woman, but her story has been
not little girl.
Her story has been used time and time again on platforms.
Little in terms of stature, not of age.
But her story has been used by a lot of white supremacist groups that have been brewing hate for the last 6 months over that shit. I mean that's the thing that's the worst part about it. Like he threw that up on national television, and then he turns around and he did that thing about South African farmers genocide.
Yeah. That's a horrible situation down there. Well, the thing is, if you don't want to give fuel to white supremacists, don't do things to give fuel to white supremacists.
Right.
Because the other approach is, let's pretend this didn't happen, then no one will know that illegal aliens are committing all these crimes, and if they don't know it, it won't bother them, and we can keep raking in the money and raking in the votes and all the other things that they do when they open the borders. And I really do think Red China is behind it. But so it's that's unfortunate, but any event is going to be taken up. And if they are worried about the white supremacists using this, it's only because it actually supports many of their arguments. Now, I personally think their arguments are too extreme. There's always a solution to a problem, but not all the solutions are equally good. It gets back to that idea of everything should be looked at philosophically, theoretically, and practically. Philosophically, it's a great idea to have a homogenous country, an ethno-state. Theoretically, you start seeing the problems in that, especially in such a diverse, if you'll pardon the expression, cultures in the United States. And then to practically apply it, that's just probably just a crime, basically. So, you've got these issues, and of course, they're like, well, let's lynch foreigners or whatever their solution is, ethnic cleansing or whatnot. That's not the solution you want. We've got a solution. We simply, and I mean, it's a no-brainer. Every other country in the world that I've ever heard of is that foreigners can't live in your country illegally. I don't call them illegal aliens. They are foreigners living in my country illegally. That's all. That's all it is. What is wrong with deporting people, especially when so many of them? I mean, they are criminals because they're here illegally. So they're all criminals. That is a crime. Some of them have been here for like 20 years and more. Those guys should get fined heavily for ripping us off for that long. But it's a no-brainer to have a secure border. I mean, Ralph Nader, whom I was a big Nader supporter in his day, he was really big on closed borders and getting rid of illegal aliens because and tariffs too. All of these ideas that Trump are coming up with are things that the left, Democrats, it was universal. And I think what started happening was a lot of Chinese money started flowing in. And again, that whole short term, I'm going to make a lot of money now. I'm going to do something that's going to make my supporters, my donors happy. And it's a very short-sighted way of looking at things. And Trump is one of the few people that has entered politics with a long view. As I was saying last night before I had to leave, he's a world historic figure, and world historic figures are really fun to read about. Oh wow, Napoleon, he did this and that. Yeah, but to actually live in France at the time of Napoleon, that wasn't a fun thing to do necessarily. It's very confusing and chaotic. Hey, we're gonna have another war. Get ready. I mean, when you think about the Napoleonic Wars, which really started with the French Revolutionary Wars, you had young men born, growing up, and dying, and never knowing anything but a state of war, right? I mean, those wars went on for like 20 years and more. That's like a generation of nothing but warfare. That's a world historic figure. They're fun to read about, and they might do quote unquote great things that future generations will thank them for. But on the ground at the time, it's not always that fun. So, buckle up is all I can say. We've got a world historic figure at the helm, so look out.
Yeah. Anyway, so there was I don't know who said this, but there's a meme or a phrase that goes like, if your hatred for one man is greater than your love of your country, then the problem is you, kind of thing. I don't know who said that. But last night was basically an illustration of that statement. That is, I feel like it brought that meme into life for the Democrats.
Yeah, they didn't do themselves any favors.
Yeah,
but I still that they don't think they need to actually win elections. I think not that like you're supposed to. I think they still think they can block the voting Save Act. Block
Save America
reforms and voting. And block the. I mean, 2020 was horrible, and it was so in your face when they did that, and a lot of it was we're being obvious about this. We're going to win. He's not coming back, and this in your face. Okay, country, in your face. We did it, and all our media scream. And what got me was after 2020, every time they would say somebody calls into question the results of the election, and there would be this hysterical screeching. But Biden won. He really did won. There's no evidence. Why are you so? Methinks she doth protest too much, to misquote Shakespeare. I mean, it's just like this. Oh, he won. He really did it. He really won. And making it so obvious, so it was meant, I thought, as a kind of a kick in the tender area of the state. I'm trying to keep it clean here, and
PG-13.
I'm telling everybody,
We're in prime time.
So, and they were really horrified by the anger. I mean, I knew a lot of guys that were very pissed about 2020. I was very pissed about 2020. And you didn't hear a lot about it because, of course, the media censored it. But that was what drove a lot of people to the polls. And I remember them getting more and more, well, we put him in the court and changed all the rules and made him a felon. And they're still voting for him. And we did this and we called him that. And he said this, and they're still voting for him. And a lot of it wasn't so much about liking Trump as hating them. I think they're really pushing, quote unquote, normal people away. And normal people are still the majority. In this country. So as far as what is ahead of us, I don't know. I really don't know. But I did see a thing recently where what's her name there? The Nomi apparently found that her phone and her computers had been tapped by people inside of her own agencies in order to spy on her.
Christy Noem, you mean?
Yeah.
Christy Noem.
She was being spied. She said when the Doge people came in, they found all this stuff, and they found rooms full of files that they never told her about it, and it was all basically tapping other politicians. They haven't gotten into too many details of who, and that's pretty bad. that is the deep state. That is the deep state.
She found this out after she became the Homeland Security Secretary?
Yeah. While she was the Secretary of Homeland Security, these things were put on her devices. I don't have the story right in front of me now. But I just read it earlier today. Yeah.
That actually reminds me.
Apparently, they discovered it
when Theresa May was Home Secretary in the UK. I think that was. It must have been 2015, 2016, maybe. She was asked in Parliament if there was phone tapping between constituents and their elected MPs. She answered. She categorically denied that in the morning. By that afternoon, she had to change entire tune.
Interesting.
Suggest, that there was. And,
I found the
one. This is one reason why I argued that she wasn't fit to be prime minister when she became prime minister because she lied to Parliament in effect and lied to the public people.
By the way, Roger Hansen.
Yeah.
Christy knows cute. You have a cute Secretary of Homeland Security.
All of them, dude.
Well, I have the story here, and it says let me see. Here's a quote from her. Apparently they discovered this when they had the Doge people in. Elon Musk and his team were extremely helpful to me. They helped me identify that some of my own employees in my department had downloaded software on my phone and my laptop to spy on me to record our meetings. They had done that to several of the politicals. We found secret secure rooms with hidden files that we turned over to attorneys. So apparently, the wheels of government grind exceeding slow, but they do grind exceeding fine. So, but yeah, this was apparently said on an interview that she gave.
When?
One quick question. Her devices or devices that have been provided to her to do a job.
I'm not sure.
Because that's quite important. That's quite an important factor in this.
Yeah,
because if let's say I'm working for a company and the company gives me a device.
It says downloaded.
I don't think they let any government employee use their own personal phone, Mark. So they will have to be government-issued devices.
Provided by the agency. Yeah. So it's technically not a device, and therefore the ownership of any software or the implementation of software is controlled by our employee.
Okay, so
employer, not other people in our department.
I did come prepared for you, Tan, because I know you were wanting to do something with the State of the Union last night. So I wanted to kind of go through some stuff to kind of tell you how much bullshit Trump is. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So Trump.
I will bite my tongue while you're going through this.
Trump says we're doing great, and like all the price or the money is things are becoming cheaper. Okay, is what he basically threw out there. This is something that was very interesting. That I
was going to say that end user agreement again.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, she says in the article, my phone and my laptop. But again, that could very well have been something handed to her with the stuff already on there. I don't know. This was said at an interview she was giving just recently. So
yeah, I wanted to run by some of these numbers.
Go ahead, Roger.
Some of these numbers that
we're going to fact check what he said, right?
Yeah. Well, it's. I've actually went through and checked a lot of this out, statistics from the labor statistics, and there's another one. It's the Economic Research Service.gov. You can check those out. And then, especially when it comes to grocery prices. Okay.
You gotta keep in mind the perspective, right?
Right.
Like I was saying.
Well, I'm just gonna give you the statistics and everything of what's actually going on. I don't want to get caught up in the political crap because a lot of that's just a lot of.
I'm not saying. I'm saying it depends on your point of view. It depends on interpretation.
It's just percentage. Now, with the 12 months ending in January 2026, the recent price trends for the United States when it comes to food, which is purchased for home consumption or at restaurants overall, is up 2.9%. Okay, food at home, groceries, that is up 2.1%. Now, food away from home, which is for restaurants and everything, that's up 4.0%. Full service meals, that's 4.7%, and limited service like fast food is up 3.2%. special grocery categories. Now, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that while some staples have decreased, others continue to rise sharply. Now, the steepest increases is beef and veal. That's plus up 15.8% to 22%, driven by record low cattle herds. And then you have non-alcoholic beverages, which is up 4.5% to 5.2%, partially due to high global coffee costs. Cereals and products is up 3.1%. Now, categories seeing relief is eggs, which is down 20.9% to 34%, recovering from a previous avian flu spikes, which I think was actually a manufactured shortage. I don't believe that was actually real, and I'll get to that here later.
Eggs have gone down 50 to 60% since March.
So what you're saying is
34%
cherry picking. What you're saying is Trump was cherry picking, in effect.
Trump was completely and absolutely wrong. No, dairy products is down 0.3% to 0.9%, and fresh fruit is down 0.15%. Now, the historical annual increases, for the USDA and from the USDA Economic Research Service says that in 2022, the overall food price changes is up 9.9%, and that was the highest since 1979. Now, in 2023, it was up 5.8%. 2024 is 2.3%. Now, last year, 2025, it was up 2.9%, and their forecast for 2026 is up 2.7%.
I wonder if it's doing the same sort of trick as the British government governments have been doing, conflating consumer price index with retail price index. With the retail price index, because retail price index really reviews day-to-day sort of expenses, whereas the consumer price index refers to a much more wider scope. I mean, in the consumer price index, it accounts for things like yachts, the price of yachts. I mean, many of us own a yacht.
Yachts are down this year, so everyone's prices are down. Gold-plated 747s took a dip, so hey, you're doing good right now. Well, coffee was something I've been keeping an eye on. Coffee for the last few years, and coffee and chocolate. I know they were having a lot of trouble with the harvests, and they were talking about that. It takes a while for that effect to go through, but I've been hearing about. We were looking at spikes in coffee and chocolate in the coming years, simply because of harvests that we had last year and the year before. So that's sort of something in the hands of the gods, as the saying is. But you got to remember too, Trump is struggling with the way Brandon just really screwed the economy over. I mean, the minute Brandon got in, gasoline prices started going up, and fuel prices affect every other price. I mean, Trump is very correct that if you can get gasoline prices down, the price of everything else goes down. So we're bringing stuff down. But when you think about how high the prices got under Brandon, and I mean, that's also in part the fault of the $1 trillion or something they just printed. I mean, that's people don't seem to understand inflation. It doesn't mean that prices go up. It means your money is worth less. So I think a lot of our problem is the inflation that was caused by doubling. What was it? They doubled the amount of paper money in circulation. So certainly prices are going to go up. So any kind of a decline, I think, is a good thing. And gasoline's gone down quite a bit where I live anyway. So that's a good thing. I mean, I just personally felt a great deal of relief when I saw prices coming down. And if they're not coming down to pre-Brandon levels, it's amazing they're going down at all. as far as I'm concerned. But that's just my take on it.
I did think ahead of time, and I knew inflation was going to come into it, so I pulled up the information on that too. The annual inflation rate has gone down over the previous year. As of January of 2026, the inflation rate is at 2.4%. Now, this represents a significant decrease from January 2025 when the rate was at 3.0%. Now, on an annual comparison year over year, it shows that in January of 2025, it was at 3.0%. By July of 2025, it was at 2.7%, where it held all the way to December. Now, this is where the trick comes in that Mark was talking about. Between December and January, it went from 2.7% to 2.4%. So something was done there to freaking purposely push that inflation down.
So compare, relate your price increase in relation to inflation. You said food was increasing at how many percent?
Food has gone. It is actually up 2.7%.
So food is up 2.7.
Before you continue, from between when to now, how are you measuring this?
2025, I assume he's using statistic.
Now, the USDA Economic Research Service is where I got it from, and it notes that recent growth is cooling down basically compared to the pandemic era peak. So that's the one thing they do say. Now, starting out in 2022.
Wait, Roger,
the price of food was up 9.9%, and that was the highest since 1979. So it starts from 2022 and it goes all the way up to 2026 forecast.
But inflation last year was 2.4 and food increase was 2.7, so it actually only increased by 0.4%. Last year, right?
With the U.S.
Compare that to the
with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, which is the true source. Okay, if you want to know the true source, it's the USDA. They're the ones who regulate this stuff. Okay, and last year for 2025, it was up 2.9%.
But it hasn't accounted for inflation.
Now, inflation and commodities like this, they don't compare them.
He's not listening to me, is he?
No, they don't. They don't compare the two.
No, I think.
Well, you got to compare the two, though.
Yes, it's just not an equal comparison.
Like inflation and commodities don't work hand in hand. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Right, but the inflation is going to tell you how much you can buy for what you've got left in your pocket after the money's inflated. So that's going to affect the price you pay, right?
Right. So it means a lot of the food price increase was due to inflation.
Well, see, inflation. If you go off the philosophy of inflation politically, okay, it's like a hyped up make believe storytelling world. Inflation was created because of the 40-hour week. Point blank. All right. It's just like
it was created because of the 1913 Federal Reserve Act.
Yeah. When you look at tariffs too, everybody's always talking, oh, those horrible tariffs. You know what I mean? Tariffs have been used since the beginning of mankind, dude, pretty much. Well, not the beginning of mankind. But when they started
beginning of government.
Yeah. It's just and people hype this stuff up like it's actually important. Inflation is not. It's a make-believe thing is what it is, okay? It's because they want you to believe that you should only work 40 hours a week, and they're wanting you to reduce that so that you can only have to go to work for 20 hours, maybe 30 hours a week, and everything's kosher. That's nonsense.
Well, granted, the US work more hours than, I think it's the country that works the most per capita, works the most amount of hours per week.
Well, see, if I had to actually say I work more than anybody freaking who works a 40-hour week. I sit in front of this computer all day doing this crap, and I don't get money for nothing,
sorry,
dude.
Employed work, should I say? Employed work.
Okay.
You need to go fund me, Roger.
There's a difference there.
Nobody'd give me
have
money.
that thing where people can buy you a coffee.
Nobody would give me money. They
a good time for you to do a plug.
I did that before the show, but nobody listened the last time I did it.
Okay. Anyway, continue with your point. So we put the pricing increase aside. What's your next point?
Okay, so after that, I went ahead and I wanted to bring something else out that Trump kept talking about. China. He loves to talk about China. Now, I wanted to talk about who, when it comes to foreign landowners in the United States, who are the highest foreign landowners in the United States.
Arabs, probably, I'd guess.
The number one highest landowner in acreage is owned by Canada at 15.35 million per acres. That's approximately 33.5%.
You are saying Canada owns. You aren't talking about individual citizens of Canada. I think you're conflating Canada as a country. As opposed to individuals that live in Canada.
According to
organizations that.
According to the most recent USDA Agricultural Foreign Investment Disclosure Act, which is AFIDA reports, the top 5 countries with land holdings in the U.S. is Canada at freaking 33.5% of the total foreign land held in the United States. After that, it's Netherlands. The Netherlands owns 5.20 million acres of land. And that's 11.4% of the total foreign held land.
So you're talking about the Netherlands government.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important to remember that, that, like you're pointing out, Mark, these could be Dutch individuals, Canadian individuals.
Yeah.
Somebody from China, it's 99% probability. There are no individuals in China. They all work for the government. Any Chinese citizen that you meet is going to be working for the Chinese government. That's a pretty safe assumption, and it's a good assumption to make, because if you're wrong, no big deal. But if you're right, and you probably are going to be right. Also, I think that one of the things about Chinese land ownership is it's very often around sensitive military bases and classified data centers and stuff like that. The other thing is that China is our enemy. The Netherlands is not our enemy. Canada is not our enemy, despite some of the verbiage going back and forth. Red China is our enemy. They are trying to destroy us. They've been trying to destroy us for many years, and I think much of the political corruption we see in this country is directly attributable to Red China. So I think that simply because it's Chinese ownership, that's the problematic part. I don't really care if a Dutchman wants to own some property. They're probably going to be cool. And we've also got very, very good. We've got very good intelligence information on Europeans and Canadians. We share with their intelligence agents. We're going to know if some guy is actually, legit or not from these sources. Red China, no. And just the complete arrogance of the Chinese Communist Party when they talk about this stuff is just amazing. They found out they have that footage from China. Every so often you see stuff from China that's meant for Chinese audiences. And they had some senior guy in the government to talk about, oh, yeah, we buy their politicians. We're corrupting their country. We're going to win. They're going to fall like a piece of overripe fruit into our hands. And this came out, and there was a minor tempest in a teacup about it, and then it was immediately buried by the media because the media is all pro-China, or they tend to be, I think. But yeah, I don't think it has to do with so much of the amount of property they own, but the fact that it is Red China.
Well, I mean,
that's the danger signal.
They don't portray that though. They're literally saying that the Chinese are coming in and they're buying up our land, and that they have freaking all of this area now. Those are the top two. Now the third one is Italy. Italy has 2.7 million acres. Okay, then the United Kingdom has
Arabs. Wow.
The United Kingdom has 2.6 million acres, and then Germany.
What?
Yes. And then Germany has 2.5 million acres. Okay.
Bill Gates.
See, the Revolutionary War never actually.
It was bogus.
So, Roger, are you talking about public lands or private ownership?
Private ownership.
Ooh.
These countries actually own.
Private ownerships, okay. American individual families and U.S. companies own 96.4% of privately held land. Canadians own 15.35 million acres.
Right.
But that is about 1.21% of total U.S. agricultural land.
I'm just discussing total foreign held land, though. That's 33.5%. So out of all of the foreign held land,
that is like a third of our land.
Out of all foreign held lands, Canadians hold the highest ownership?
Yes. And you guys are the ones who manufactured the egg epidemic.
Now, how many Americans own Canadian land or land in the UK?
That's actually that's a good question, actually.
Also, I'm not sure. Is this just private land, or are we also talking about things like embassies and military bases? And
that's a thought. I know we've got a UK military base just down the road here. No, I'm just kidding. All right, RAF Albany, yeah, RAF New York. Yeah.
Okay, so
where are you going with this foreign ownership?
Well, it was a big issue that Donald Trump was talking about. He was talking about how horrible, how these Chinese are coming in and they're just overtaking our country and stuff, and it's just completely bullshit.
That's talking to the base. That's talking to the base. He's talking to his base, though. You know.
Yeah, I think he's doing his whole trick of overly simplification.
I don't know about the U.S. guys, but there's a huge population of Chinese people, especially in post 1997 when Hong Kong got returned to China.
Yeah,
a lot of Hong Kong Chinese went over and grabbed a huge chunk of land in Canada.
Also, I don't know about, and got an idea about Canada. I'm not sure about the US, but in Britain, there has been huge influxes in Chinese students or Chinese people coming over here to be university students. And obviously, most of them will leave and return back to the country once that term is over.
Okay,
this reminds me of there was something that occurred to me when I'm talking about this foreign ownership, especially from the UK. I'm reminded of something that happened in World War II, which Mark is probably aware of. Actually, you guys are probably aware too. But when the United States came into World War II, and the British were begging, Churchill was like, please. And they said, well, all right, we're going to do this Lend-Lease thing. But part of that was they wanted to make sure that England really needed the money and that England was broke. So as they were waging the war, they basically told the British, you have to sell every single British holding in the United States to Americans. Every single one at wartime prices. So they were losing money on the deal, because they're in the middle of a war, prices are very low. And the U.S. was solid on it. Basically, they broke the United Kingdom financially before they would step in and say, okay, here's some ships, here's some tanks, that whole Lend-Lease thing that we got into before we actually, before the Japanese attacked and we got very active in the war. So in a sense, I don't mind hearing that the Brits are buying some of their land back or getting some of their factories, because they owned huge manufactories. We're not talking about houses, manufactories, businesses, trading concerns. Anything that was owned by British citizens had to be sold to the Americans, and at those bargain basement wartime prices. And this was all done very quietly. None of this was made, public. It was, oh, yes, well, the arsenal of democracy. We're going to help our British pals, special relationship, yada, yada. Give us the money. Give us we want, how much do you want? All of it. But we have all of it. But we're going to be broke, all of it. Look, Germany you're going to be speaking German in another year, unless kind of deal. Although I do remember that Churchill, I remember at the time, or actually I think it was something about the LCO, the London Controlling Office, the people that were running the country during the war. They had this idea that if they needed to, they could win the war, and they estimated it would take about 11 years. And the main reason being that they had at that time access to every single secret German code. Plus they had people very high in the German intelligence apparatus that were anti-Nazi, that were working directly with British intelligence. I'm talking like Admiral Canaris, who was in charge of military counterintelligence. This was the guy that he was executed. The Germans found out, so they executed him. And after the war, his family moved to Spain, where they lived on a very generous CIA pension. And Alan Dulles, the founder of the CIA, later said Admiral Canaris was a great hero of his nation, that was a story that will never be told. But he was basically telling them everything. And also, you got to admit, the British were a lot better at using what they had. I remember you all read about the Battle of Britain, and they were talking about how they held off the Germans through the use of radar, and they had the big situation rooms where they would move all the different counters on a big map and stuff like that. And the Germans couldn't win because they didn't have this technology. The Germans actually had the technology. The Germans had excellent radar, but they never organized it the way the British did. The British had a big situation room. The Germans, it was just each little local Air Force base just used their radar. And that was it. They didn't have the coordination that the British did. So that was one of the weaknesses of the Nazi government. I personally think that if there had been no war, the Nazi government probably would have fallen apart from its own internal contradictions. I mean, they were getting to warlordism. They had different sections of the country run by different guys. Goering had his section. Himmler had his section. He was going to have Burgundy as a whole, actually. That was his plan. And Hitler was constantly riding herd on these guys, all of whom hated each other and were constantly gunning for, that's Nazism for you. Hitler rose to power through killing 300 of his friends in the Night of the Long Knives, as they called it, or the Rome Putsch, where basically they were whispering in his ear, hey, the French are paying Rome to take over and be the new Führer. So he just went up, killed 300 guys, and, so that's their political advancement. So it's no wonder he was looking over his shoulder.
It's not just a Nazi then, it's a extreme socialism then. Look at what happened in, I think, 1932 in Russia, where they reviewed half the politicians. Yeah. Well, National Socialism in many ways is not that far from international socialism of the commies. That's why they hated each other so much. I think because they saw so much similar in them. And yet the early Nazis actually were very close to the Russian Communist Party. They trained the nascent German Air Force. And actually guys like Goebbels was very left-wing. If you read his diaries early on, he was like, we got to work with Russia more. We're both the great revolutionary movements, National Socialism and communism, And that all fell apart with the changing political necessities. Poland is an interesting case. Poland originally was seen as an ally of Germany. I have posters somewhere of Germany and Poland, the two eagles, the white eagle and the black eagle, and together they will hunt the bear, stuff like that, destroy the Russians. And at that time, I think Poland was being led by a kind of a right-wing dictator type. And I remember he was dying, and he said, tell Hitler to hurry up.
because when I'm gone, they're going to go completely the other way, and they did. And with England whispering in their ear, go on, it's okay. We'll guarantee your sovereignty. Yeah, that worked out really well for Poland.
Now, talking about socialism, I pulled up the information that you guys needed about Canada. If you want to hear it.
Sure.
No.
No, this is
Look at yours, Don.
Canada.
Does it stop you?
Canada actually amazes me. It continues to amaze me in a lot of ways, and this actually is pretty interesting stuff. Okay, so while Canada entities own like 15 million acres in the U.S., the United States government and private American entities do not own land in Canada in the same sovereign sense. Ownership in Canada, this is cool right here. This is where it gets weird. Ownership in Canada generally falls into three categories. One, U.S.
I'm listening to that guy talking about Canada. Like that.
No, one, U.S. corporations and private ownership, where American companies and individuals do not own significant assets in private property in Canada, though it isn't tracked as a single acreage figure by the Canadian government in the same way that the USDA tracks foreign ownership.
Anytime somebody says the word significance, I always have to wonder what they actually mean.
Now, the U.S. controlled enterprises hold the largest share of foreign-controlled assets in Canada. That accounts for 50.1% of all assets. This ownership is concentrated in sectors like mining, oil and gas, and manufacturing.
Of course.
Now, most Canadian land, roughly 89%, is Crown land, which is owned by federal or provincial governments. Private ownership is limited.
Actually, incorrect. Technically owned by the monarch.
Well, that's basically
it's the government that is facilitating, is managing it. It's
owned by Great Britain.
Crown land.
Technically speaking.
Crown land. That's why they call it Crown land.
Yeah. But you said owned by governments, and
Well, that's how they're trying to be politically correct. They don't want to tell everybody that your king or your queen is freaking running the show. And I've been trying to be nice about that because I know Canadians, that's like a make-believe freaking country. Like, we all know that. But I and don't get me started on the French people.
Yeah.
Okay,
we know your views on French people.
So Canada has a lot of land that are what do you call it? Undeveloped. Undeveloped.
Uninhabitable.
They're mostly green. They're trees. A lot of undeveloped land. It's just other than the Yukon, Yellowknife, and Alberta, where there's a lot of oils and gold and silver and minerals over there. There's not much attraction in the rest of Canadian lands. You can understand why Americans do not go and buy Canadian lands.
You can make a lot of money off of Canadian land.
But on the other hand, right, U.S. land, way back in the bankruptcy eras a few years ago, American lands were cheap. They're cheap. There was bankruptcy filings all over the place down there. And yes, a lot of Canadians went down there and scooped up a lot of cheap lands.
Bunch of thieves.
No, we're not thieves. We bought it fair and square. It's just you guys bankrupt yourself. We bailed you out. Anyway, no, I was kidding.
Mark's trying
the rules made it very easy. The rules made it easy for Canadians to buy lands in the U.S.
Right.
So,
and I understand that concept. I just don't think that in politics people should be freaking led by a bunch of freaking lies. You know what I'm saying? I mean, But let's be straight here. Of course, everybody on the top 5 list is freaking allies of the United States. You know, but let's stop.
What did he say exactly that offends you about the land ownership?
Well, he's saying it repeatedly, not just freaking last night. He's saying that freaking that China is coming in and they're just taking over freaking our American lands and buying up properties. That's making it dangerous for America, and there's no evidence backing that up. There's a lot, like he's making claims that are outright bullshit, and he's using people like Alex Jones to freaking somehow be freaking
again, I would like to see the data that he is with, or his advisors are reviewing to subsequent such claims.
Well, it's just saying, and we've heard Nancy saying it last night, where when it comes to like Epstein, like these idiots are getting on the internet and on the news trying to say that freaking Donald Trump was going to testify. There's no evidence backing that up. There is nothing that says that is true whatsoever.
Actually, there is.
No, there is none.
I did see something only within the last couple of days.
I've said it 4 or 5 different times. I was like, if you can find the actual hard evidence saying that Donald Trump was going to testify against Epstein in any way other than a civil court case where he was on a list for a victim and never even actually had to testify in that case. If you can find anything other than that, freaking present it. And you know what? To this day, nobody's been able to do it. And they still talk about this crap like it's actually true, and it's not.
Just because you have not found any evidence does not necessarily mean that it's crap.
There's court cases. Every court case is filed within a court.
As an example, I could claim that there is an elephant down the road. You don't know that unless you actually come down this road and have a look. You do not know that.
If that damn elephant had to go to court, it's somewhere. Trust me. Okay, they got it tagged. They got it freaking documented. They got it on paper. So that's my whole point. If you, and you know, one thing that I've been noticing, and it dawned on me after we had the show last night too, is like, these people are jumping onto this whole idea that you have to have the media in order to freaking do research. You don't have to have the media. You don't have to listen to Fox News or freaking MSNBC or BBC to find information out. Research that means that you can go and find the documents yourself and do the research yourself. You know what I mean?
Dude, if I want information, I go to the Minds Roundtable event.
There you go.
Watch the legacy media.
That's right. We're so cool, freaking. We don't even freaking call ourselves alt media. We are
the media.
We are the media. We're probably the only ones that still try to be unbiased too, by the way. And that's one thing I respect about all of us, because we all have different backgrounds, and we just say. That's about as unbiased as you can get.
Yeah.
We can have our own biases, to be fair.
But we've got a mix of them, and we mix it up when we have these conversations, you know?
We respect each other's biases.
Well, except for Mark.
We might disagree, but yeah.
Except for Mark. He looks down on all of us.
Well, you know, that's kind of unavoidable.
I would agree with the statement that we all have our own biases, except Mark Edworthy. He has no bias.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
He reminds me of what's his face off The Big Bang Theory.
The nerdy guy, the brainiac guy.
Yeah, young
Sheldon.
Sheldon. He reminds me of Sheldon. He does. He's analytical about everything.
I never watched that show. Many things I've never watched. Well, you know, gentlemen, I have to sign off for now because I just got out of the laundromat, as you might have heard, and I got a couple things I got to run around and do.
Okay.
And the phone's going in and out, and I got to get ready for the quantum gathering not long from now.
Right on.
So
yeah, we're almost at the top of the hour.
I can't believe it. We've actually had a good conversation.
You've gone through 2 hours. I joined 1 hour late, but yeah.
Yeah. 1 hour late is always on time for you because like it's always worked out that way.
Yeah,
We start at 5, you come in at 6.
I'm in Eastern time.
Right. Well, I mean that's how it's always worked out for you on your scheduling, so it's kind of expected, you know.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, gentlemen, hopefully I'll see you guys a little later on.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, Otto.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Keep the conversation flowing. Good to talk to you all. Bye, guys.
Man.
Bye.
But
Do you have more points that you want to finish off, Roger?
No, I'm done with that.
That's it.
That's the only stuff that really interested me about.
Okay, let me ask you about what do you think about the Democrat Party's response to all these people that he brought in, where it seems to take no effort to stand up and support these kind of people in a non-partisan way. But they refuse to do it.
Numbers, names, I noticed.
Well, for me, my whole thing about the response to it was, first of all, I don't agree with the way that they reacted to a lot of the stuff they did, but in the situation of all these victims, I don't think that was actually very good either, because
as I mentioned in chat earlier, I've been in 2 minds about that. I think that's a
grasp. I think it
seemed a bit distasteful.
It's very
in one way.
distasteful.
Yeah.
You know,
How is it deceitful?
no, distasteful. It's
Distasteful.
yeah. Well, like I said,
why?
With that.
So you're saying it's distasteful to bring these people into the State of the Union address?
The way he did it, yeah.
What is the purpose of the State of the Union address? What is its fundamental purpose?
To highlight, I don't know, Roger, you can speak the most about your country's events, but I would think that it would be the purpose of to summarize financial, economics, and social issues that have come up in the past year and how the country is addressing them or not addressing
why
them.
couldn't he have a much more
Professional
broader response to the social rather than pinpointing individuals?
They are exemplars of the issues that are being highlighted.
Well, I mean, the thing of it is it's like everybody seems to jump on this whole immigration thing is good shit, and it's like that's the only thing that his narrative is. Like there's nothing else that he has done absolutely nothing productive in any of the areas that he says he was. You know,
What about stopping a bunch of wars?
no, he's starting wars. He's stopping wars. Are you serious?
Exactly.
Well, I mean,
which wars has the U.S. government stopped?
Yeah.
Not aided to stop, but have stopped themselves.
People are talking about us getting ready to invade Mexico, dude. We freaking We've
Mexico. What about Iran?
They're debating now between Iran or Mexico which one it's going to be. I still say that.
My view.
Oh, because of the cartel?
Well, supposedly. It's just the cartel. See, the whole thing with the cartel and calling them terrorists was that was Trump's way of being able to justify attacking Venezuela and taking action against Mexico. You see what I mean? Because that opened up a whole lot of area that he can move in. So
it seems remember when they bombed Iran? It seems that everybody should be outraged about normally be considered an act of war.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody said anything, so maybe he's trying to repeat or replicate that.
As I keep on pointing out, Iran is a much more complicated issue than just a US issue. I mean, the US, as far as Iran is concerned, it's only a minor point.
I've seen a lot too since Trump's been voted into office that I didn't see before. Like, there's a lot of people that I actually thought were good people that I've sat and I've listened to, and they've turned into nothing but warmongering, hate.
But because they support Trump?
It's because they turn a blind eye to things that they know Trump was supposedly against and he ended up doing. You know what I mean? It's like, and they've turned a blind eye to it. Like he's got a plan. He's doing it for a reason. You know what I mean? Which is complete and total bullshit. Like they're in this, they're what the people of Germany were just before World War II took place. Everybody was on that frickin' Hitler frickin' train, kind of like they're on the Trump train now. So Trump's going to go ahead and bomb frickin' Venezuela, and he's going to bomb Iraq, and he's going to invade Mexico, and he's going to force them to sell frickin' Greenland so that he can deport the Saskatchewans to Greenland and take over the frickin' mineral industry. And
he's going to take over Canada to make it the 51st state.
And he will be the supreme leader of the world. No, he will be the supreme leader of the universe.
Right,
Please.
And these people have just turned a blind eye to frickin' what's going on, and they don't see it. I think that's what pisses me off the worst about that whole situation. You know what I mean? It's like, and there's no turning back. So when it comes to all of this freaking hostility and coming up, I don't see a solution. The only thing that's going to happen is there's going to be a freaking civil war. I was telling her.
Yeah, it seems like the divide between the two parties is growing and growing every day. There was one Democrat though, John Fetterman was his name.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's the only Democrat who stood up and support those people, like the veterans who got injured, the mother of the girl, the wife of Charlie Kirk.
Actually, I think I saw a few other Democrats clap during one or two of those.
One or two.
But to be fair, I think it's more probable that we're going to see civil conflict or civil unrest in Europe, in maybe, in a number of countries in Europe before we see in the US.
I mean, I'm not going to say which is going to come first, but I can see it happening. You know what I mean? And I'm glad you mentioned Charlie Kirk too, because something's been happening here that you're not going to hear over there, okay, or even in Canada. There's a Kentucky senator right now that when we were talking about bad taste,
I think I've already. But carry on.
This man, after Charlie Kirk has died, is freaking saying that Charlie Kirk was the last man to freaking validate, or what was it? Whenever they freaking they give them freaking a credit acknowledgement to where they can run for office. He did that whenever he was alive, dude, and then Charlie ended up getting assassinated, and now this guy's freaking running ads on television saying, "Vote for me. I was the last person that freaking Charlie Kirk actually freaking accredited," or something like that. I forgot the term for it.
That's one of the most cheapest shots. Most revolting.
It's like opportunist.
Yeah, that's revolting. That's just cheap.
And see, they were talking about that with freaking what's the name of the organization Charlie Kirk started?
TPUSA, Turning Point USA.
Yeah, Turning Point.
Yeah.
People in Turning Point were saying that there was too many people that were exploiting Charlie Kirk's freaking name because of his death and everything, and they have been, and that's one of the examples of what I'm talking about. They're doing it, and people are turning a blind eye to that shit, you know. And this
I
isn't.
don't know. I think where's the old don't wait until the fat lady sings argument. You don't know until the votes are counted.
Okay, so
you speculate.
There are midterm elections coming up. Let's see how it pan out.
well, I've decided that I will no longer be voting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I made my choice.
How is that helping? Like you're
how is that going to aid
you're waiving you're waiving your rights to vote.
No, I'm not waiving my right. I'm actually using my rights to not vote. I'm not like an Australian citizen who gets fined because he did not vote. It's my right to vote or not vote.
Oh, yeah. But if you don't vote, then you cannot complain.
If you've done that approach, surely it'd be much more effective. Surely it'd be much more effective for you to spoil your voting paper rather than not voting at all.
Actually, you know what I could do? I could
vote for an independent.
No, I always do. What I could do is I could freaking give my voting card over to my buddy and just let him run down and do the voting for me. So
wouldn't that be illegal?
Yes, it would be.
Yeah,
it would be.
Don't you need your how is that Save America thing act coming along? Wouldn't you need to have your citizenship proof in order to vote now?
Why?
To prove that you are eligible to vote.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you think that it's okay for the state and the government to freaking take over on our election process?
To facilitate the election process.
It's just to prove that you're an American citizen.
You're handing the election over to the government when you're doing that.
No. You're allowing them to work out who is eligible and who isn't eligible.
Isn't that really? That's really hip and cool to say, isn't it? But it's not the truth.
We had a similar sort of argument in Britain.
Doesn't your election run by
the citizens?
Third party?
No, it's the citizens. It's the citizens' responsibility to freaking take care of the election process all by themselves without the use of the government. The post office is a government freaking office, okay? That's a government office. You have.
So where do you go to vote?
We go to freaking there's at one time they were townships here in this area, but now they've turned into like voting outposts where people who are selected to be the committees that take care of it come in and they do the whole voting process and everything. It's not done by like government officials.
But it's still done.
Yeah, you're right. It seems similar here in Canada. We go to church. We go to a church or a public school to vote, and the people who administer the voting process seems to be like just volunteer community neighborhood people.
Right.
Actually, my usual voting booth, if you like, is in a building that is owned, I believe, by a charity as well.
Yeah, having said that, right? When I go to vote in Canada, I need to show them my voting card, which my voting card is basically I'm registered to vote and the government has validated that I am a Canadian citizen. I'm eligible to vote. That's why I have that card. When I go to vote, I need to give them my voting card. before I can go into the voting booth.
I think it's only now been 3 years since it was put into legislation that we needed to provide some sort of identification, any sort of governmental approved identification or state approved identification to be able to vote. It's only been something like 3 years, and I remember there was a lot of discussion about this beforehand. There was a lot of arguments, and for a nation that traditionally doesn't use it's not a papers please nation. The sort of voting ID sort of thing was extremely controversial at the time. Oh.
You still hear me?
Yes, everybody went quiet for a minute.
Everybody went silent for a minute.
Yeah.
I think I might have to bail. I don't know how much I can join the quantum gathering, but
well, I was getting ready to say
pretty
too.
soon.
We have like 15 minutes before that starts. So before we decide to bail and everything, why don't you come up with one of your cool freaking outros so that we can, because we got to have time to smoke, get some coffee.
Oh,
okay.
You want to just share details?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, but Tan has to do it because like Tan's the man.
I can do my outro. Mm-hmm. You need to put on your camera then.
It is on.
Oh, you don't want to go on camera?
Oh no, not me personally. My cam ended up getting all crazy. I don't even know what it is right now.
So. Seems you can't easily do it when you have your OBS on, don't you?
Well, I mean, yeah, that works. Okay, so so go ahead and do your outro, and we will.
So we're concluding our this week's session of the Minds Roundtable live stream, people, and we're signing up. My name is Tan Hai Tran. You can find me at minds.com/th2tran. And there's Sir Mark Edworthy, a very familiar face, I'm pretty sure everyone knows. And then the faceless person on the top right corner is Roger Hansen, the creator of the Minds Roundtable.
And then that's V, of course.
And V is just joined us. You were just in time for the next session, V. So we're very wild echo on your mic.
I believe
a lot of reverb.
I believe